Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon when you are listening to the Cleveland BCG podcast. That stands for Browns, Cavs, and Guardians. Thank you for tuning in. It is a victory Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We beat the Pittsburgh Steelers at home, our home, at a score of 13-10. And that was a back-to-back NFC or AFC. Wow, really? AFC North win for us. We beat Baltimore last week in their house, and then we beat Pittsburgh in our house. And I have to say, the first half, I was pretty comfortable. I liked the way DTR looked. I know a lot of people have been criticizing him. I do not believe that is fair. I think he did a good job for a rookie. And there were a lot of drop passes. The first half, like I said, I was really comfortable with what he did. He had 98 yards in the first half, and going into halftime. And I wish I could remember I want to say it was like 9 of 13. That may be giving him a little too much credit. But it was something like that. And then 98 yards total. And he was also, at that point, our leading rusher, at least into the second quarter. That might not have been at halftime, but he was at least until our second quarter. And he was doing well. He was using his feet. He was getting the ball out quick. Were some of the balls not put right on target? No, they weren't. He's a rookie, and he also just came in, and he's got to shake out some nerves. And he's had one full practice week with the ones, and so they're still working out some timing. The second half, the third quarter really kind of frustrated me, to be honest with you. Actually, third and fourth quarter frustrated me because it felt like Stefanski was playing to not lose instead of playing to win. Now, I've listened to some other people break it down, and they seem to think that Stefanski was kind of like waiting and just trying to run the ball, which I give him credit for in running the ball. I have no problem with that. And it was a tough go on Sunday for running the ball. We had a total of 96 yards rushing total for the team. So it was a rough go of rushing. So I get that. But it was just, he was very conservative, and it felt like they even said, I listen to the radio usually and watch the game. I usually sync them up, fast forward or rewind depending upon on the TV, depending upon where the radio's at, because I don't like listening to the announcers on TV. Normally, the announcers on TV are always for the other team and not for the Browns. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's what I hear, but that's what I hear. And I'm not the only person to think that, because as I was on my Twitter feed, other people were saying the same thing. So, and that's not just this past weekend. It's been in many, 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 many games. And that's one of the reasons I am upset with the Cleveland Browns website, that they took off the game, because if you were outside of 100 miles of Cleveland, which I'm just outside of, apparently, which I thought I was inside of, but apparently I'm just outside of, according to them, I cannot listen to the game any longer for free. I have to pay for it now, which really irritates me. One of these days, I'm going to send in an email or something and let them know that, because for so long they just did it. They just played the game, and it was great. I mean, who doesn't want to listen to Jimmy Donovan and Nathan Zagura? I mean, come on, especially Jimmy Donovan. Come on, man. So anyway, and we'll get to Jimmy in a minute, but um, so the I was getting to one of the announcers said, and now I don't remember what one of the announcers said because I went off on a tangent, so I apologize. Um, But I know what it was. One of the announcers, like I said, I don't know if because you got the TV on a little bit, and I got the radio on mostly. Um, but one of them said that they had the training wheels on, and I was like, okay, well we need to take them off because we need to win this game. And what we saw on that last drive was Stefanski taking the training wheels off, at least momentarily, for DTR. And there were a ton of drop balls. I mean, Amari dropped the ball. Jerome Ford dropped the ball. David Njoku dropped the ball. David really struggled um, with catching the ball this past week, um, which was really frustrating to watch. But I can only imagine how it was for him. What I did like is when they were interviewing him in the locker room after the game, he said he was going to go home and work out with the jugs machine. And the next day, Stefanski, this is Monday, Stefanski said, I know he worked on the jugs machine because he FaceTimed me as he was doing that. So he did. He did go home and work on the jugs machine because he was upset and he was not happy with his performance. And I appreciate the chief. I always appreciate the chief, but I appreciate the chief, um, you know, uh, taking that responsibility and saying, hey, that's my bad, and I'm going to fix it. Because a couple of balls hit him right in the hands. Same thing with Ford. Same thing with Amari. Um, Amari did get a couple that went over his head. I think Njoku had one that went over his head. DTR certainly wasn't perfect, but DTR went out and he did a great job. And I know a lot of people are probably saying, no, he didn't. Well, that's your opinion. My opinion is for a rookie going in to play Pittsburgh after what he did in Baltimore, okay, with third, fourth, and fifth string guys on your line, okay, without Nick Chubb, um, I think he did a heck of a job. And I think they prepared him well. I give AVP and Stefanski a lot of credit for preparing him well. Um, he looked very serious, uh, which wasn't a bad thing. Wasn't a bad thing. But even Deshaun said to him, smile. When he came off the field, Deshaun said to him, smile, enjoy the game. And the only interception he had was a tipped ball that Amari didn't catch. It was a little high. It was a little high. Um, but Amari tipped it and it just happened to fall where it fell. So, um, no real fault of, no singular fault. A little bit high, and then a little tip. I don't know. I mean, it really wasn't Amari's fault. He just tipped the ball. So it was a little high. So I guess you could blame that ultimately on DTR now that I'm thinking about it because it was a little high. But you know what? So what? One turnover. That's it. One turnover. And Pittsburgh has been known for their turnovers this year. So I'd say for a rookie quarterback going in under that kind of pressure, I'd say I'll take it. That's what I'd say. Um, and I will say that everyone on that drive, didn't matter if they dropped the ball before, and Joku had dropped, I don't know, three or four, I'm going to guess. Um, Everyone caught every ball on that drive. He was 4 for 4 for 39 yards. 4 for 5 if you look at the one that he spiked. But for ones that he actually threw, he was 4 for 4, 39 yards. And they put D Hop in a perfect spot to kick the field goal, and we won. And how happy are you to have D Hop on our team? I'm going to take a sip of water. How happy. I'm thrilled. I am absolutely thrilled. I think we were all excited with Cade York when he first came in. Young kid, big leg, he kicked 61-yard field goal, in practice. And I can't remember, was it 60 or 61 that he kicked in the first game that we won last year? And so we had all these big high hopes. And I almost think that was too big for him on his first game out. I think that really may have hurt him more than helped him, even though it helped us win that game. At any rate, I am very happy that we got D Hop. And it's funny because everybody says you don't draft a kicker, right? And so we drafted a kicker. And so now everybody says this is why you trade for a kicker. And yes, it is. D Hop he's been money. Bohorkowitz has been great. He had one ball that wasn't good um, uh, in this game against Pittsburgh that was short. Other than that, he's been great getting the ball, being able to turn the field, really been able to use him as a weapon, to turn the field. And that's been a great thing. So kudos to those guys. Um, I also wanted to mention, and I'm going to go into the stats in just a second, but I also want to mention uh, Jim Donovan came back dealing with leukemia, and so he called the first game of the season for us, and then he um, had to step away and take care of himself, take care of his health. And when they announced he was coming back, I was so excited because no offense to any of the guys that filled in for him with Nathan, but it just is not the same unless it's, him and Nathan, unless it's Jimmy and Nathan. And they, a lot of things happened that day. First of all, he came back. It was a Steelers game. It's a game at home. He was the uh, dog pound captain, so he gets to break the guitar right before the game. So that was huge. The crowd went nuts when he walked out. The crowd also went nuts, I have to say, for Nick Chubb. I love that he walked out, out of the tunnel and just kind of showed everybody that he was there. And I think that gave a big boost. And I mean, you heard the roars of the crowd, between him and Jimmy coming out. I mean, huge roars. So really cool to see Nick there. Um, and just to see him, I think lifted everybody, and then to see Jimmy Donovan back again lifted everybody up. So Jim Donovan gets to be the captain of the dog pound. Like I said, he breaks the guitar, and then after the game, Stefanski in his press conference said, "I'm going to give Jim Donovan a game ball." And so he asked him to come down to the locker room, and he went down to the locker room, and it's on video if you haven't seen it yet. Check it out. And he gave him the game ball, and it was just really really cool, very touching, very touching, and great to see Jim Donovan back. Nobody calls a game like Jim Donovan. Just don't. They just don't. Um, so yeah. So really glad he's back. Um, all right, let's get to some stats here. So, in the first quarter, we scored 7 points. And in the second quarter, we scored 3 points. In the first 2 quarters for the Steelers, they had nothing. We went into the halftime 10-0. Then they scored on that one. They had one play, and that's when their runner, I believe it's Warren, yeah, he got loose, and we couldn't catch him. We just missed him. We had bad angles on the tackle, and we just missed him. And that was the only time where our defense had a bad play. Other than that, there really wasn't anything. We had one penalty all game long, and it was not on the defense; it was on the offense. So I got no qualms with their defense. And then in the fourth quarter, of course, they scored 3 points. We also scored 3 points and took the lead with 2 seconds to go. So that made us very happy. For a total, we had a total of 163 passing yards. We had a total of 96 rushing yards, and we had a total of 259 yards total, adding those two together. DTR was 24 of 43 for 165 yards. Now, somebody said something very interesting earlier. And they said there were 7 drops. Add 7 to that number. So 24 and 7 is 31. So now, if those balls are caught, which they should have been, he was 31 of 40. He would have been 31 of 43. That would have been really good. And again, those are balls that should have been caught. Now, I do also understand that he has he's got a lot of velocity coming off. That ball's got a lot of velocity coming off of his hand. He can throw a hard, fast ball. And so there is some adjustments to be made. Whereas Watson has a little bit more touch, DTR has a little bit more power, a little bit more strength, a little more zip on the ball. And so they got to be ready for that. And with more repetition, it will just get better and better, and the timing and everything will get better and better. So I have no qualms there. Like I said, he did have one interception. That was the one that was a little high and tipped by Amari Cooper and landed in their hands. As far as rushing goes, we had Hunt, which he had 12 attempts for 36 yards. His longest was 16. I believe that was, I think, one of my favorite plays of the game besides the game-winning field goal, where he hurdled the guy. And I even said on Twitter, like, the passion just didn't seem to be there in the middle of the game for the guys. We were playing hard. That wasn't an issue. We were playing hard, but there just wasn't a lot of passion. It didn't feel like they were very serious about this game, and maybe that's why it seemed. I don't know. There just didn't seem to be as much passion. And when I put that out on Twitter, some people liked it and agreed that a little more passion would be good. So when Hunt hurdled that guy, I mean, that was just that was amazing. It was just amazing because I really think that put a spark in everybody. So gotta love Hunt for that. I really wish they would have put Hunt in. I'm going to take another sip of water. Wish they would have put him in down at the goal line for the first touchdown. They didn't, but I wish they would have. Ford did get it in. No qualms there. I would have liked to have seen Hunt continue his streak. Jerome Ford had 12 attempts for 31 yards. He had one TD, like I said, one touchdown. DTR had 3 attempts for 20 yards. And Tillman had one attempt for 8 yards, and PJ Strong had one attempt for 1 yard. I don't know why he only got one chance at it. It was very early on in the game, and then it was like, okay, you're done. And that frustrates me because I think Pierre Strong has something that Jerome Ford doesn't, and that's that vision. And I'm sure it will come with Jerome, but he's missing open spaces. He's missing that if he takes a step to the left or a step to the right or cuts before maybe he's supposed to, there's an opening. You know what I mean? Like, yes, maybe you are supposed to follow, the tight end, further out, past the hash marks, but maybe right at the hash marks, there's a an open lane. Take it, man. Take it. Um, I know that he's young, and I know that he's doing well, but that is something that he needs to get a little bit better at. I'd really like to see if Pierre um, would be better at that for us. It seems to me he has that a little bit better. I don't know why I think that, because I haven't seen a lot of Pierre, because as we know, he doesn't play a lot. It just there's just something that I think that at least I would like to see if he does. Let's put it that way, I guess. Okay, receiving yards. We had Elijah Moore. He had 7 targets, 6 receptions, and 60 yards. Very crucial one on that last drive. And Njoku had 15 targets for 7 receptions and 56 yards. So, like I said, a lot of drop balls. A lot of drop balls. His long was 18. Amari was 8 targets, 4 receptions, 34 yards. His longest was 11. And he had some drop balls too. There were some too that were over his head. So I would say, I know Amari dropped at least one ball, possibly two, but I think there was probably two over his head. Um, Jerome Ford had 5 targets. He dropped one, I know for sure. He had 2 receptions and a total of 8 yards. Pierre Strong was 1 target, 1 reception for 4 yards. Tillman, 2 targets, 1 reception, 2 yards. Hunt, 3 targets, 3 receptions, 1 yard. So that's where we stood with that. Now, if we talk about our defense, first of all, our defense is phenomenal. And Myles Garrett got robbed of a safety on the first play of the game, where he um, uh, where he went in for a sack on Pickett, and it should have been a safety, and it was not. It was not. Um, I shouldn't say the first defensive play of the game. Uh, and then even the second one looked like it could have been a safety as well. But the first one was definitely a safety. We didn't get those 2 points. It would have been nice if we had. It would have been nice for Myles to have gotten those, um, just for his own stats. But our defense, except for that one play, like I said, our defense is just playing lights out. Unfortunately, we did lose Walker. He's going to be out for a little while with a hamstring. He left sort of early in the game, uh, beginning of the second quarter, I want to say maybe, either first quarter or beginning of second. Um, uh, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah had 6 tackles and 1 assist, and Grant Delpit had one. I'm sorry, had 6 tackles, 1 assist. Uh, Okoronkwo, Okoronkwo. First of all, congratulations. He's a new dad. He was even playing with the bracelet from the uh, from the hospital on, which I think was great. I like Stefanski. Stefanski said he thinks he was playing with that extra dad strength, which I thought was really cute. Um, but he had 4 tackles, 1 assist, and he had a sack. Denzel Ward had some really well defended um, passes, and he had a really nice tackle on the one. But he had 3 tackles. Taki really is playing great. Uh, he basically kind of stepped in where when AWalk, uh, went out of the game. He had 3 tackles, 2 assists. Hickman had 3 tackles, 1 assist. Newsom 2 tackles, 1 assist. Um, Z had 2 tackles. Z Smith, Zadarius Smith, sorry. Myles Garrett had 2 tackles, 2 sacks. Wouldn't have been great had he been able to say one of those sacks was also a safety, because it was. Elijah Moore had 1 tackle. MJ Emerson had 1 tackle, 4 assists. Um, Ford, Hurst, Fields, Elliott all had 1 tackle. McLeod had 1 tackle, 4 assists. Hewlett had 1 assist, and Wright had one assist, and Tomlinson had 2 assists. So we had a total of 3 sacks on the day. Um, the defense, I mean, you just can't say enough about the defense. The defense playing lights out. Um, and I think they realize, I have to take another sip of water, sorry. My throat's really dry today. Why, I don't know. Probably because I'm not being quiet. um, but our defense is just, I mean, Schwartz is money, baby. And the confidence that he instills in our guys, and the fun that he instills in our guys is just phenomenal. Um, and our offense too. I mean, you can't say enough about our offense. When you think about what this team has been through this year, right? And a lot of people have been on Stefanski, and I was on Stefanski. Sometimes I still don't like his play calling. It still makes me nervous. It still frustrates me. I'm starting to understand it a little bit more as I look and watch the games and try to break things down and look at strategies, um, and how he, although it didn't make for a exciting game, he did have the training wheels on DTR in that third and fourth quarter. And to me, that's frustrating. But the guy knows football, and the guy has got his team playing for him. There is no doubt they believe in him and his system and the other coaches and each other. This is a team that is all for one and one for all. It's the way it feels, you know. Um, Perfect example is, and let me say this before I get off Stefanski. If you didn't have a chance, go back in and watch his uh, his speech in the locker room. Um, he usually does not swear, but um, he, he he pulled the F word a couple of times, and it was just great to see, because you could tell how excited he was. Um, they're stacking wins, and that's what they need to do. And I think he's excited about his guys. I think he's excited about the potential, and just the never the never quit attitude that they have. So um, and you got to give that to the coaching staff, Stefanski and Schwartz and AVP and um, oh my God, Bubba Patron. Um, I mean, you got to give it to all of them. All of them. Okay, what else was I going to talk about? We talked about defense. We talked about kicking. We talked about our punter and our field goal kicker. We talked about offense. I talked about Jimmy. There was something else I wanted to talk about, though. There was something else I was going to mention. Ah, and it is escaping me. Don't you hate when that happens? Man, oh man. Um, you didn't hear. How good was Dewan? This. I mean, he. T.J. Watt only got through one time. He only got one sack. That was it. And Dewan Jones did an awesome job on him. Now, Dewan did not play the entire game. There was um, somebody else out there playing. I don't remember if it was Christian on that side. I want to say Christian was our left tackle, but I don't remember for sure. Um, but the guys on the line did a great job. They did a great job. Um, and one of the good things is a DTR. It is quick to get the pass out, which really helps those guys. Um, but and you know, it helps our O line and it hurts the defense. And so yeah, but it was a good win. I'm sitting here with a big smile on my face just because I've been a Browns fan forever, and anytime you beat the Steelers, it's a good thing. But especially when you're having a winning year, and now you're in sole position of second place. So it's Baltimore, us, the Steelers, the Squealers, as I call them, and then Cincinnati. And I believe Pittsburgh goes to Cincinnati, or they play Cincinnati next week. Not sure where, but they play Cincinnati next week, so that will be interesting to see how that goes. Um, I feel like there was one other thing that I wanted to talk about, and I'm trying to remember what that was, and it is not coming to me. And I had stopped myself from talking about it earlier, um, and I don't know why. Um, and what it was. Um, Matt Canada was fired by the Steelers, which I believe was the first time since the 60s that actually happened. Um, so that's pretty interesting. You feel sorry for the guy. I mean, nobody wants anybody to lose their job, but the fans over in Pittsburgh have been calling for it for a while. They made the move where he was up in the booth. They brought him down on the field, and now that's it. So, um, okay, I don't know what the other thing was. I'm not going to make you guys hang on for me to figure out what it was. If I remember it, I will mention it on the next podcast that I am going to do for the Cavs. The Cavs are on a nice little winning streak right now, and that is really good to see. And so I'm going to touch on them on the next podcast, um, and we will go from there. But I thank you so much for tuning in to the Cleveland BCG podcast. Again, that stands for Browns, Cavs, and Guardians. It was a great Sunday win. It's a great Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday victory days. And I look forward to us meeting the Broncos in Denver. next Sunday. I don't look at this, even though I remember the old Denver games, the drive, the fumble. I don't look at it as the same team. I don't look at it as the same place. It's a totally different time and totally different team. So I'm excited that they have DTR starting next week. I am glad that they brought in Flacco. I think Flacco will be a very good person for DTR to look up to and to answer any questions for. Deshaun just had his surgery today. This is some stuff that I did forget about I wanted to mention. Deshaun had his surgery today. They said it wasn't very successful, so that's awesome. We wish him all the best and the speedy recovery with his rehab. He is going to be in Los Angeles for a while, so I think that they brought in Flacco to be there for that sideline guy like Deshaun was on Sunday for Dorian, and also to be in the room, because although Deshaun was there on Sunday, he's not going to be there for all of the games going forward because of his rehab. So I think it's a good thing that they brought in Flacco. I think it's nice that he has been to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. And I think that will mean a lot to our team just overall. So those are some good things there too. So just wanted to mention those as we were going out here. Again, thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, depending upon when you're listening to the Cleveland BCG podcast. Take care, everyone. Thanks so much.